Housewife of the Year.
Yup. Not me.
Plot in 60 seconds. Action!
Housewife of the Year is a documentary made in 2022, and it looks back at the Housewife of the Year competition that used to run from, I think, the 60s it started. I'm not sure, we don't know the date. Up until 1995, shockingly. So women or whoever would nominate themselves and put themselves forward, and they do like little regional finals, and then there'd be a big final up in Dublin. Gay Byrne used to host it. And basically it was a competition. They'd have to prepare a 3-course meal, they'd have to do a little interview with Gay Byrne. There was like little games and stuff. They'd have to like be blindfolded and find their husband and stuff. Didn't really go into detail about whatever.
Bookkeeping.
But yeah, different bits and no, I didn't.
Yeah, they had to balance the house books.
Oh, gas.
That was part of it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That was one of the...
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, but then it wasn't just about that. It was obviously looking at the competition and talking to some of the women that were entered in it now about what they think about the whole thing, and then their lives and how it changed their lives, and whether they think it was a good idea to have it or not. And some of it was like really sad and harrowing. Like
yeah.
I think it was just, I thought it was just gonna be a bit lighthearted or whatever. But yeah, good job.
But
I'm really good at summarising. I was really good at English in school. In Ireland, I can't remember when it was stopped.
I think it was the 90s.
Could have been up to the 90s. Like Ireland, I find like that was very far behind when it came to moving with the new ways of living. Like we were under like the church kind of ruled everything that we did up until very recently.
Yeah.
So when women got married, even if you worked, so like a lot of the women in the competition, if you had a career, but as soon as you got married, you had to give up your job.
Yeah.
So you didn't have a choice. Your choice was either be a housewife or be a career woman. So you had to make that very clear distinction and choice.
But as well, then the interesting point you said that they didn't realise how dependent they were on their husbands as well, because after they'd worked a few years and then got married, they wouldn't have enough stamps to get a pension. Mm-hmm. or a pension that you could live off. Mm-hmm. So they were completely dependent upon their other half.
Yeah. And then that was just the way at the time. Like the church kind of just ruled everything, like, you know, and like contraception. So that was a big thing as well. I suppose back then people, like, if they did get pregnant, not all the people, but if you did get pregnant before marriage, a lot of people probably just got married, so it didn't bring shame onto their family. So you kind of
got sent to the laundries.
Yeah, well, you were kind of thrust into marriages that maybe you didn't want, or maybe wouldn't have happened as soon as they happened, bar because you got pregnant, because you couldn't get contraception in Ireland until the 90s. You'd have to go up the north and try and smuggle it back on the train. One woman on it, she was in Housewife of the Year, but like when she was younger, like she was just out with her friends having a little bop around the place, and they were like, obviously girls at the time only wore dresses. They didn't, like, women didn't wear trousers because they weren't allowed really to wear trousers. And they went on like a boat with their lad friends, and she was like taking photographs of everything, and they were kind of messing, like as young lads do, like trying to push them into the water and stuff like that. And she was taking photos of everything, so she brought her photos into the chemist, because obviously at the time that's where you got your photos printed. And the chemist didn't like what he saw, so he reported her to the priest, and then she got sent to not a mother and baby home, Magdalene Laundry.
He said, you may sort this one out.
You may sort this one out, because they thought she was of loose morals or something, like, pretty much because she took a few photographs of her friends.
She had a right going over.
Yeah, so then she went to Housewife of the Year and won.
Was it the next day?
No, it was like a year later.
I thought it was...
No, it was about a year later. She won, and then her husband just disappeared.
Yeah.
She had 4 kids. She couldn't find him. I think she took him 6 months to find him, wasn't it? Or a year?
Maybe a year.
But like, because obviously back then women couldn't have jobs, they had no money. She said like he left no money. She just left, so she had no income. The family went destitute.
Yeah. He went fishing in Alaska. And
yeah,
his son found him because he was a fisherman and said, "Do you not think you call him Mammy?" He was like, "Oh, maybe I should."
Man.
And then remember, the woman that was the postman, she had to pick up extra hours because
her husband had muscular dystrophy.
Yeah. Would you take a drink? He can't do that, but he can do that. It was very funny.
It was very like
funny
Irish
parts.
women are funny. It was funny to see the women's opinions on things as well, though. Some of them were very much like, you couldn't be doing a thing like that these days. Do you know?
Yeah.
Very like feminist, very much like, how do we go along with it? Why did we apply for it? Like, why did we kind of... Because even like, now it could have been the way it was edited, but even some of the stuff Gabe Byrne was kind of saying, it was a bit scathing to them, like, oh, what's your husband do? Or like, a bit of it was like, it was kind of, not making a show of them or demeaning them or anything, but it was kind of like, you could see, it was nearly like Gabe Byrne just didn't like the fact he had to do it. I got that impression from it.
I think he was like that at everything though.
Okay,
I think it was just Gabe Byrne.
Okay, I can't remember.
But I think as well that's also the way it was edited. You can manipulate it in the edit as well.
But yeah, so like but then as you said, like some women, they were like, well sure, when we got married, all we could be were housewives.
Yeah.
So it was nice to get the recognition.
Yeah.
And everything, which is also fair like that. If it was to come back now, I know people would be fucking crying out. Like, I'm all for women's rights and all for women doing whatever they want. But if people just want to be housewives, that's more power to them. But it was very good. It was really eye-opening. It was funny. It was nice to see, like, some women like that had, like, even back then had progressive views of being like, oh, maybe, and some women weren't happy about it. But then I just felt really sad for some of the women that were career-driven and wanted to be working.
But then remember the one who was in the Magdalene Laundries, and then her husband left her.
Yeah.
And then she said, when did her daughter go to Canada or somewhere?
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to do, Mommy, now that I'm gone? She's like, I'm going to sit my leavings out. And then she's like, good for you!
I loved that.
Oh, and then...
She was such a nice, happy, smiley woman. I was just like...
Yeah, she was brilliant. She was a comic woman.
She was so nice.
And then...
She had the sash on. She's like, oh, I look like a ninja.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
Like, so good. I was like, oh my heart. I'm so glad that she was able to like move forward, like, and do something for herself, not like so much for...
But remember then as well, when they went around to their houses and they had all their
stuff,
all the cards that had been sent to them from people. Unreal. Congratulations.
It was unreal.
Oh, it was...
All I could think about was a good few of them. I was like, how well they kept them cards. Like, some of them cards are like 40 years old. I was like, how are they kept so well?
I remember your
they were bought last week.
And then your one who won it the last time. Because then when did you say the last one was?
95.
Then in 96 it was like Housemaker of the Year.
Yeah.
So it was open to men and women. So your one was like, well, I never lost my title. I'm the reigning champion.
Yeah. She was delighted. She was like, oh, she looked great as well. It
was so funny though, because I presume did it start getting televised in the 80s? It seemed like this.
Yeah, the first time it was in the 80s, yeah.
It was probably from like 84 to 95.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But looking at the footage from 95, that could have been the 1950s.
Oh, so behind.
So, they all looked so old fashioned.
Mm-hmm.
And then remember that, your one that was on it, she goes, I don't know, they came from Longford there or somewhere. She's like, oh, we arrived in style, we got a minibus.
Yeah.
It was very Irish.
Really Irish. It was so funny. And I don't think any other country... Well, I feel like it wouldn't be... If any other country did it, it wouldn't be as funny.
No.
It really wouldn't. Like, if it was in America, like, it'd be very...
Or England.
Yeah. If it was in America, it'd be very, like, polished.
Glitz and glamour.
Stepford Wives vibes.
Yes.
Yes. But what I loved as well, one of my favourite bits was... So, like, none of them really wore, like, gowns or anything. They were kind of just in, like... Particularly in the early years, they were kind of just in, like, maybe a cardigan and or, like, a nice top. But so random. In one of the years, I can't remember which one it was, but they were calling out the women. Some of them were just, like, in a nice skirt and a blouse. Some of them were in bits. And then this woman rocked up in a full, like, sparkly ball gown. Compared to the rest of them. I was like, she's way dressed up for this. Like, I was like... It was gas. But then as it went on with the years, they did get a bit more fancy with their dresses.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was gas. It was really good. I think it was a really important... Not important, but... I liked the way it kind of talked about what was happening at the time. Compared to, like, the competition as well. And, like, the views of the women that they didn't necessarily fully agree with it.
Yeah. Like, but some of them were saying, like that family that was destined, or was it the fella that got muscular dystrophy, and he was a carpenter.
Yeah.
So he couldn't work. So she was like, I need to do something to earn extra money.
Yeah, and like her thing was she never wanted to be anything but a housewife.
Yeah. She
never wanted a job.
Yeah, and they were saying that too, that it's okay to want to be a housewife.
Yeah.
They were understanding that some women would want to pursue a career.
Yeah.
But they were saying some women want to just be a housewife as well. And that's okay too.
Yeah.
I think that's good to understand. The only thing is, objectively, the movie, thought was very scattered. I just thought the narrative, it wasn't clear.
No.
Like, it wasn't linear as in like the time frame of year by year.
No.
But then sometimes it'd tell someone's story, and then sometimes it'd be, like you say, about religion or contraception or careers, views on women, Magdalene laundries. But it was just a bit scattered, and then it might go back to that later on.
Yeah.
Instead of doing like point by point or story by story.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was my only
Yeah.
negative feedback. But lots of laughs.
Lots of laughs. And I really loved that. Maybe it was just like that, the crowd that was there, but like bits happened and you could hear all the women in the crowd being like, oh, look at that. Oh, Jesus. Or like someone would laugh and be like, oh, God. Like, you know, and it was great that you could hear people kind of really react to it. I loved it.
Yeah.
And you felt like you could do that as well. You could be like, oh, God. You could just say stuff out loud and be like, no one would be like, shh, or like whatever. It was just a nice audience that was there too. Yeah.
What would you give it out of 10 then?
I'd give it a 6.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Not groundbreaking. Not like took my breath away. Not like whatever. But like was good.
Yeah.
And just because I found it hard to follow.
Like, I didn't find it hard to follow. I just didn't think there was any plot or narrative structure. There's no structure. It lacked structure.
Yeah.
It didn't know what...
Go on.
It didn't know what it wanted to do.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So would you recommend people to see it?
I would, yeah. It was really like, as much as it was heartbreaking in points and sad and like wanted to cry at the odd time, it was really funny. There was loads of laugh out loud moments and bits that made you kind of go, oh Jesus, like it was just, it was really good, and it's a nice insight into how Ireland was for women, and just kind of a nice reflection on like how far maybe we have come. Yeah. Because it's only a short amount of time ago that was on. Yeah. But then also how far, you know, just to look at different opinions and how people perceive it, like, you know. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, likewise. Probably. What would you give it out of 10? I'd probably give it a 6.5. Yeah. Like, but I would encourage people to see it, but it's not going to change the world. No. It's not going to be revolutionary. But I suppose it will be timeless in that you can dip in and out of it any time, and it'll still be as relevant as it was because it was just capturing a time. Yeah. I thought it did a good job of that. So if you enjoyed this review, please comment below what you'd like us to review next. Give us a like and a subscribe if you're feeling really, really generous. It costs you nothing, but it means the world to us. You need to change that. Why? It's just so... Why? Ick. Why? Open to suggestions, what would you do? Comment below for an outro. That's it. What? That's it? Just comment. Get the people to give us an outro. Oh. What I'm saying, comment below and tell us what we should say for the outro.